What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Gameball with your host, Matson Montilla. Today, we're doing a Clemson men's basketball game recap after they defeated the Miami Hurricanes 77-60 on Wednesday night, punching their ticket to March Madness. This game double-checked and answered the questions you already had answered and circled them and said, hey, we're great in this area for Clemson men's basketball. And then the questions that were left open-ended that you had to circle back on, Clemson answered those questions and showed that they are a complete, well-rounded team, a worthy team to have a lot of success to end this regular season, in the ACC tournament, and March Madness. So the first question that they answered, in my opinion, was that they are a team that is now able to handle runs against them. College basketball is a game of runs. A team might go up 12-2, and then the team that's down 12-2 will go up 14-12. And then it's 20-14. And then it's 24-20. It's a game of runs. It really is. And Clemson in the past has struggled when they allowed another team to go on a run against them, closing it out, maybe taking the lead. Clemson didn't really know what hit them. But this third game in this past 3 games that Clemson's played answered with an exclamation mark that the Tigers are built to handle runs, because they were able to do it against UNC. They were up by 11 at one point against UNC around the end of the first, beginning of the second half. And then North Carolina closed it out and tied up the game. Against Syracuse, Clemson was up by like 18 at one point in the first half. They were on an 18-2 run. And then Syracuse clawed their way back into it and tied it up. And then again in this Miami game, to start off the game, Miami went up 8-2. And then Clemson, before the first media timeout, was up 11-8. There were runs later in the game because, again, Miami's a talented team, and they're capable of making runs on you with players like Matthew Cleveland, Wooga Poplar, O'Cheer. They have a bunch of dudes. George. They have a bunch of players out there. And Clemson was able to withstand the runs that Miami had. And as they say, the first time might be luck, UNC. The second time might be a coincidence, Syracuse. But the third time, it's just the real deal, Miami. And it showed that all 3 of those times were the real deal, because Clemson is now built to handle runs, which is a huge question mark that they had, and a huge question mark for any college basketball team, because if you can't handle a run, you can't win in March Madness. The second thing that Clemson really proved to me is that they can go band for band with a team. They can go shot for shot. It was always a worry that Clemson would have a moment of threes, or buckets, and then they would go cold and they would ultimately fizzle out, right? This Miami game was yet another example to relax your mind and realize, hey, they can go band for band with you. Because Miami is one of the most firepower teams. The first time Clemson played them at Miami, they lost because the first half, they put up 40-something points, Clemson did. And then they weren't able to keep up with Miami in that second half, right? Miami just kept making shots because they're a talented team. And Clemson, they fizzled out. Now, fast forward 6 weeks later, and Clemson can do it, and they did it at an even better rate than what Miami did, winning the game 77-60 after the game was neck and neck up until the 58-point mark for both teams. Clemson was able to go shot for shot and show that they can't just get a hot hand for 5 minutes and they fizzle out for the next 15. They can get a hot hand for 5 minutes and keep it for the next 15. And the last thing that Clemson did this game, and I think the most important thing that stood out to me, was they looked confident with a side of cockiness to it. And to be successful in sports and in any industry, to be honest, you need to be confident in what you do and be a little cocky about it too. Not have it go to your head where you think you're untouchable, but maybe in a situation where you go into, we'll say from a business perspective, you go into a meeting and you want to pitch an idea to board members. You want to be confident, but also be a little cocky, thinking, yeah, like I'm that guy, right? Like I know what I'm saying is right. Just like if you're going through an interview for a job, you want to be confident with your answers, but also realize entering it, nobody's better than me, but not having it be where you can walk on water. And Clemson went from being just being confident and, yeah, I'm going to shoot this shot and I'm going to make it, but shooting that shot and being like, I got a little swagger with it too. And that really stood out to me because you need that. You need that in sports. You need to have a little 90% confidence, 10% cocky. And Clemson finally has that, which I think is going to propel them. The play that stood out to me from that confidence/cocky point was the last shot of the game that Clemson took. So Chase Hunter had the ball. There was about, we'll say, 40 seconds left in the game, 20 seconds on the shot clock. And he was dribbling the ball out. And then with about 10 seconds, he pulled up for three and made it to extend their lead by 17. And he made it and he got a little fired up. And it wasn't like he was talking garbage to, who was guarding him and the entire Miami bench, but he was just like feeling like, yeah, like I can do this. And the whole team, that was a glimpse of what the whole team, in my opinion, felt like. Like, yeah, we can do this. Like, yeah, I'm that guy. Like Jack Clark, for example, there was an inbounds to Jack Clark, and there was 2 seconds on the shot clock, 3 seconds on the shot clock, and he had a little, 8-foot fadeaway, and Miami ended up calling a timeout after it because Clemson went on a little bit of a run because of that. And the whole bench mobbed him. And he was like, yeah, like, I'm that guy. I'm him. And you need that to be successful. So that was my favorite part about this Clemson victory. So the 3 things that I took away from this Clemson victory against Miami is that they can handle runs. If you can't handle a run in college basketball, you're doomed. Clemson proved that the first time against UNC wasn't luck. The second time against Syracuse wasn't a coincidence, because if you do it 3 times, you're just good at what you're doing. And Clemson, at this point in the season now, I can confidently say they can handle runs against them because they can come back and put a run up of their own. The second thing I took away from this Clemson victory is that they can go band for band, shot for shot against teams. We saw the first time Clemson played Miami, at Miami. They entered halftime they were both at 40 points apiece or more. And then eventually Miami's scoring just continued to take off and Clemson couldn't keep up with them, ultimately causing Clemson to lose. Fast forward 6 weeks later, they were going shot for shot, bucket for bucket with each other until they got to about the 56-point mark where both teams were just putting up shots and making them. And then Clemson hit another gear and went crazy, scoring 77 points. And they've shown now that they can go shot for shot with any team if they have to. And the third thing is Clemson found that fine line of confidence and cocky, 90% confidence, 10% cockiness, where they're going to shoot the shot and realize, hey, yeah, that shot's going to go in, and also feel pretty good about it, feel a little fired up. Not too cocky where it's just going to their head and taking ill-advised shots from the logo or they're triple teamed, but shoot it and realizing, hey, like I'm that guy, I'm him. And you need those 3 elements to be successful. And Clemson finally has those 3 elements. And it's amazing to see. So some other side notes and side pieces I took away from this Clemson-Miami game and from games as a whole is that Clemson has something that not many other teams do. They have interchangeable pieces in their entire roster that can fit and mold to what they need for that game or for that 5-minute run or for that 2-minute rest for however long or little you need it. So they're starting 5, Joe Girard, Chase Hunter, PJ, Shefflin, Jack Clark. Great starting 5. But if you need to add somebody on that starting 5 or that 5-player rotation that needs to stretch the court, you got Chauncey Wiggins, who can stretch the court, who can make great shots. He can make threes from the corner like nobody's business and can really stretch the court. If you need somebody to come in there and provide just a physical presence and just outwill anybody on the court, and if you need a bucket inside, he'll just give him the ball. You got that at RJ Godfrey. I swear, if every basket he scores, at least one of those baskets that game, he is just outwilling whoever he's going against, lowering the shoulder, dunking on them, having a crazy finish, doing a 360, but knocking the guy on the ground throughout the process. He's incredible. Like, he'll physically just destroy you. If you need somebody to come off the bench again and make the right passes, maybe have some cool looking passes too, a little behind the back pass or a backdoor cut pass, or just have a crazy good finish inside, you have that with Josh Beadle. I mean, if you want to just see a game, look at what he did in the 20 minutes on the court against Miami. He forced the issue defensively. His 6 points were off some of the craziest finishes inside the paint. He had one rolling to his right, shooting a floater with his left hand. He had another crazy finish inside for a layup. He moves the ball well, whether it's just knowing to throw the extra pass to Chauncey because he's in the corner and he's a great three-point shooter, so you know it's going to go in that way. Or Jack Clark cutting baseline, and he can just throw it in there, bounce it right between two defenders. He's your guy. You have so many talented pieces. Look at Dylan Hunter, for example. He can come in, and he can provide more of defensive pressure too, and also just, again, facilitate the offense. They have pieces on this bench unit that you can mix and match for just about anything you need in that game. And that is something that I don't think many teams have, and that separates Clemson from the pack. My last takeaway from this Clemson-Miami game is Jack Clark might just be the most underrated player on Clemson right now. Transferring in from NC State, he didn't play a lot at the beginning of the season because he was being acclimated to the team. And then he got injured, missing a decent amount of time. He finally came back, and he was getting reacclimated to this team. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a game coming off the bench. In the past 3 games, he's played 22 minutes or more and actually finding himself in the starting rotation. And during Clemson's most important 3-game span of the season, he's had 3 great performances. The first one against UNC, 6 points, 7 rebounds. The second one at Syracuse, 5 points, 10 rebounds. And the final one against Miami, 8 points, 6 rebounds. He's come in and provided, yes, a scoring option, but most importantly, rebounding duty. And he's becoming a big man that can go and get you a board when you need it. And you can go into every game now and confidently say, Jack Clark is going to be one of the leading rebounders for Clemson. He's going to probably get at least 6 boards this game. And yeah, maybe points win games, whatever. But rebounds, they give you the opportunities to win the games. And Jack Clark is providing not just 1 or 2, but 6 or 7 or 10 of those opportunities by getting rebounds and knowing that you have somebody who can go and work the paint for you at a very high level. And honestly, the most exciting part about this, if you're a Clemson fan, is that Jack Clark he hasn't even raised his ceiling yet. Because this is the first 3-game span we've seen of him actually finding his footing, right? So there's, 9 more games left in the regular season? I think we're going to see a better and better and better version of Jack Clark. And he's going to be one of the most important pieces of this Clemson team. So shout out Jack Clark. Great work. I mean, he has yet to touch his ceiling. So if you're a Clemson fan, I would be very excited. So that's my wrap-up of this Clemson-Miami game. And they have another big matchup at home against NC State Saturday night. I think it's setting up to be a very good game, a very enticing and important one. If Clemson can beat NC State, that's just going to help them keep the momentum and stay going. So thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to talking to you after the NC State game.